Get me a couple more batteries down here. Another 100 amp hours. I already had 70 here. And that 70, it's a 24 volt system, so that's not terrible. It would run my fridge out here overnight and shit like that. That's 70 amp hours. But now I got 100. Let's see what we got here. So I had 100 and I had 70, I added 100, so now I got 170. And then it's a 24 volt setup, 4 kilowatts. That's what the power company charges you by the kilowatt. It's not much. You're talking about like, what, between 10 and 20 cents a kilowatt is what they charge. At least that's what I think ours is. I think last time I looked, ours was like between 15 and 19 and fluctuated or some shit. I don't know. Anyhow, daily, we use anywhere on a beautiful part of the time of the year, we'll use like 30 a day. During the horrible hot as fuck time of the year, the coldest time of the year, we'll use up close to 70. And it'll fluctuate in there, So this 4 out here doesn't seem like much. It's probably closer to 4.5 because you add. No, I take that back. We're just going to call it 4 because you don't want to use 100% of this. You want to save some in there. You want to save that last 20% all the time. It's just easier on the battery. So I'm going to say it's about 4, and just go with the 24 volt estimate, the 24 volt number. Because this system actually runs, 24 is the low end. It runs between 24 and 28. So it's going to fluctuate in there, up and down, depending on the charge and all that shit. Anyhow, this setup I got here, I've got maybe, I'm going to say out here in the shop, I originally had 600 watts of solar panels. They were just 12 volt panels that come out here and kept my 4 little batteries charged right here. And with those panels and all this stuff here, I had about $1,500 into it. Now I bought these other two, I've got about pushing close to $2,000. These 2 batteries here were $400, which is pretty cheap. These were $190 a piece. I'm talking shipping, tax, every fucking thing. $400 almost on the dot. It's like $402 or some shit like that for 100 amp hours of 24 volt energy. That's pretty damn cheap. Pretty cheap. Honestly, it is. Considering, these lithium iron phosphate batteries. Anyway, with this I've got out here, I'm going to call this 2,000. I put a $1,500 solar AC unit in the house. And then I bought $300 worth of used solar panels. Bought 2,000 watts of used solar panels for $300. They work perfect. Nothing wrong with them. No cracks in them. Nothing. No chips. Ain't nothing wrong with them. So I've got, what would that be? I'm going to say 2,000, 3,500, less than $4,000. Let me turn the phone around here, baby. Got about $3,500, 4,000, between 35 and 4,000 in the whole thing. And I'm going to add into that to make it a solid 4,000. Let's just say I have one of these APC. I don't remember. Is it ATM, APC? It's one of these things that with your power goes out, it keeps your computer from shutting down. And I've actually got it hooked up to my internet, to my Wi-Fi router and my fiber optic internet. And my kid's got his computer hooked to it because he's in college and we don't need his shit going down when he's doing an exam or something. So he can at least give him a heads up and tell him he's got to shut his computer down. It'll only keep a computer running for maybe 30 minutes at the most, but it'll run routers and shit like that for hours and hours and hours. Anyway, so we're going to add that in there too. And there's a whole reason. There's a whole big reason why you get all this stuff. I'm not like Mr. I want to be energy efficient. I want to be off the grid. I'm not, it's not even something like that for me. That's kind of neat. It's nice to be able to generate some power. It's nice to not necessarily depend on the power grid so much and all this stuff. But the basics, what it boils down to, basically is I'm in East Texas, and the fucking power goes out all the fucking time. All the time. If you hear a rumble, if you go, Was that a rumble of thunder? Or was that like a truck, hitting a bump or something? Your fucking power will go out. Beautiful day today. 75 degrees, sunny, nice, calm, beautiful day. Power went out this morning for like 15 minutes. Just random. I was in the middle of cooking breakfast. Of course, I got an electric stove. Everything cools fucking down. Got to sit there and wait on the power to come back on so I finish cooking my fucking eggs and shit like that. Now this stuff isn't going to solve that because I'm not running my stove on anything in there. But I do have an AC unit in the house now that is solar powered, so power can go out and we will still have some AC, just 1 ton, but it's still better than nothing. My house is small, just about 1,000 square foot, so it helps a lot. I grew up in Dallas when I was a kid. It was a rare occasion for the power to go out for more than just a few minutes. Very rare. You'd get a bad storm or something like that. If the power went out, let's say for an hour or longer, you'd have neighbors out talking to each other. You'd have people out in the street like, what the fuck's going on? Why ain't the fucking power coming back on? There'd be people calling the police and shit. It would be a major ordeal. Now, this is when I was a kid in like the 70s, early 80s. People were driving beater goddamn cars that got 12 miles to the gallon and shit, but they could keep the lights on in a big major fucking city. It didn't seem like no problem for some fucking reason. Down here in the boonies where I live, the fucking power goes out. And let me tell you how it works. It either goes out and stays off for an extended period of time. I'm talking maybe, 3 or 4 hours at a time. There was not too long ago, there were some thunderstorms that come through, had some tornadoes and stuff in them, knocked some power out for some kinfolk of mine, some cousins, a little east of here, and knocked them out for days. Days. There were a couple of counties out here in my area, my northeast Texas area, that were down for, thousands of people in some of these individual counties around here were down for days. Down. I think some of them maybe as long as 2 weeks. That ain't no bullshit. Now, you have that. That's kind of almost like natural disaster type shit, tornadoes and stuff. So that's a major deal. But the fact that our power will do this thing right here, it'll go off, come on. Go off, come on. Go off, come on. Go off, come on. And it'll do that when storms are rolling through or whatever. It fluctuates. It goes off and on, off and on, off and on. And that shit right there gets old as fuck because, first of all, I'm an air conditioning man. I work on a lot of electric motors, a lot of compressors, a lot of stuff like that. Refrigerators fucking die from that shit. AC units die from that shit. Window units. It'll knock a fucking computer out, too. We've had fax machines just croak. We have power out, and power goes on and off 15 fucking times in a row. And the next thing you know, our fax machine don't work anymore. It's just constant. So it's either that or it's going off for an extended period of time. Now, put yourself in my shoes. We're out here in the boonies. There ain't nothing to fucking do out here. Sure, you can go shoot a gun up against a fucking tree or something out here. Or, that's about it. There's not much to do. You can stay occupied a bit on the weekend. Go out and get something nice to eat. Hit a barbecue place, Walk around fucking Walmart or some shit. You can stay busy doing stuff like that. I got a motorcycle. I play guitar. I beat on the drums and shit. Stay busy doing stuff. Always got yards to mow. I got my yards to mow and shit like that. So I stay busy. But whenever you do have your downtime and you're just kind of chilling or whatever, you got the internet. You got fucking power. You can always listen to a podcast, drink a beer, maybe watch some Netflix on my computer in there. Meanwhile, my wife's in the house. We have totally different tastes, just like most people. She's watching her Lifetime shit. I'm out here watching Rambo or some shit. My kid's playing a video game. He's studying game design or shit in college and stuff. So, he's a big-time gamer. we're all doing something. Now the fucking power starts flickering or it goes out for 3 fucking hours or whatever. We're all sitting around here twiddling our thumbs. My wife's calling the power company every 15 minutes. My kids out here beating on these drums, driving me crazy. It's like a big clusterfuck. And it irritates the shit out of me to the point where I decided I'm just going to start buying some shit and do something about it. And on top of that, when there's no power outage, this stuff just kind of does its thing. It's, my icebox right here is running off of solar all day today. And the sun goes down, it'll run off these batteries all night. And it'll only use, maybe not even a third of what's in those batteries. So it's not, those batteries are designed, they'll do 4,000 or 5,000 cycles down, drawing them down 100%. And they'll still last for years. So taking a third out of these batteries night after night after night, it just don't, it's nothing. It's nothing nowadays. So why not do it? I had old lead acid shit out here for years and years, and it was actually pretty reliable. It would last for several years, but you had to be kind of gentle with it. You didn't want to run them down too low, and but this new stuff, you have to be gentle with it too. But it's more, takes care of itself if you have the temperature shit. These batteries have temperature switches in them and shit, so they won't get too cold and fuck up or get too hot. Everything is designed for 24 volts. So if it drops below that, shit starts shutting off. I have a transfer switch that shuts shit off and switches it over to the grid, like my fridge. If it, my batteries do get low, my fridge will switch over to the grid. Everything in the fridge, my beer will stay cold. So, why not? It took me and the wife got out here and the kid helped. It took me about 3 days to put that 2,000 watts of solar panels up that I give $300 for. And then, of course, I went and bought that AC unit. It was like $1,400. And that took about another day to hook that son of a bitch up and get it all wired up and ready to go. And the next day, we were sitting there cooling the house with solar power. I mean, why wouldn't you do this shit? Why wouldn't you do it? It's in a way, it's buying a little bit of fucking freedom and buying a little bit of well-being when the power fucking goes out. And it's just worth it to me. To some people, that's why you do it. To other people, it's because you want to get off the grid or you want to go underground or, it's always some kind of shit. That's not really the way it is for me. It's just like, I know how to do this shit. I do AC work for a living. I know how to wire shit and, and not Mr. DC, but I do understand it well enough to not fuck something up. So why not? Why not? And I can do it safely. I know when shit's fucked up looking. You can feel the wires. If they're getting hot, you can put a bigger fucking wire in there. You know what I mean? You just got to use common sense. But anyway, that's my rant. That's the way it is when you're honestly in like a borderline third world country. I would say for where I live right now, I would put, some part of Mexico's fucking grid up against our grid down here. I would say it might even be more goddamn, more robust than the East Texas power grid down here, the way it fluctuates and flickers and goes on and off all the fucking time. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the pine trees, because fucking pines everywhere down here. Maybe they're falling on lines from wind or, there's a lot of shady trees around here, a lot of iffy trees leaning over power lines, and it's just I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I just know they don't deal with it in a lot of other parts of the fucking world, but we got to deal with it here. And I got to wonder if they would even bother having all this kind of shit if you were in somewhere, like what? Maybe Germany? You think people in Germany have to have all this fucking shit in order to keep their internet and shit on? I don't know. I'm starting to have my doubts about it. And it's not a political thing. It's not no Trump, Biden, shit like that. It's across the fucking board kind of shit. This is just like if it was on a chart, it would be going down. The infrastructure and just our way of life in this fucking part of the world. Anyway, that's it. That's the rant.